And you see these, I mean, they look perfectly healthy, but they're down there on the ground and they're going to die. But you can see, well, something down here. Like that, maybe. That's probably a larva. Some of the brood may have got killed. See how they drag the dead ones out? And she'll let go of it and fly back up. And that may be what some of this is, but
the pirates walked in the plane.
There's larvae. See the larvae here? And they died in the cell, probably from being cold because there weren't enough bees to keep them warm. So they drag them out.
So there's got nowhere near the activity when you open that one up?
No, there's not near as many bees in that hive.
Will you move some brood frames into this one to try to strengthen this hive?
If I figure out that's the remedy, yeah.
You want to take these off?
We'll just do a quick peek.
It doesn't have near the buildup that the other one did.
Got plenty of food though.
The wax in there, the honey in there,
Yep.
This one's been shut up since October also?
All of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just now getting the time where I start fooling with them.
You just leave them alone all winter long?
I do. There's no reason to go in there. And you know, they seal everything up to their liking, and I don't want to mess it up. Then they just got to work to seal it back up.
You know, I was kind of curious. Do you save some of your honey from like your June when you extract it from the June, so that you put it in there?
Well, you can do that, yeah. I don't. I just generally leave them enough in there to get through the winter on. If need be, I've got it in jars and I can give it back to them.
Okay.
They'll eat their own honey. Yeah, that's all honey, right?
That's all honey.
Yeah.
And the same to the one over to the right of it.
That one had a distinct smell to it when you pull that out.
That's all honey.
So the hive beetle right there going in the...
Almost impossible to get them out.
Yeah.
I can get you there.
Well, they didn't starve.
No, starving's not the problem.
He's trying to
You mean
figure
to hold
out
that
about
one?
what
You can
the
if you
cold
like.
did a big kill off.
I usually do this by myself and I end up the frames laying all over the place.
Well, I can hold a couple of them for you if you want me to.
Here, we can pass them around.
I can kill that hive beetle too.
Look at all the hive beetles.
I just killed
Oh,
one.
wow.
And that's
It's right in the center.
That's a function of not having too many bees in there. I didn't bring the smoker either, did I?
There, it's right there. The smoker is.
You want to see the hive beetle?
There are a lot of hive beetles. Now the difference in the dark honey and it's a little bit higher as far as raised up, is that just a different season or is that anything? See how dark it is and it's raised a little higher? Or is that anything?
Yeah, usually that's late. Darker honey is late in the season,
So it's
as opposed to this may have been earlier.
that's a good bit lighter.
They seem to be policing them pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Not that close to it.
Look at the beetle.
Oh yeah.
This one has a lot.
Yeah. There's a little bit of brood right there coming on the next one.
So being blank in the center, what is that telling us?
Being what?
Is blank or nothing in the middle? Is that where the queen would normally be
They
laying?
may have hatched out or they've eaten the honey from that spot more than likely.
Okay.
See, I got a little bit of brood now.
But now is that worker bee brood or can you? That's just
Yeah, that's worker brood. And you can see some that haven't been capped yet.
And these right there, those are all. That's
See, that's pollen there.
Right.
But you see some here that are not capped off yet.
Yep.
And what are you calling the pollen again? Just
What do you mean?
where are you seeing the pollen?
The yellow right in there.
Just the deep yellow without the cap on it.
Because when they're feeding the larvae, you can still see the larvae, correct?
See the pond?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
they
you can
try
see
to
the larvae
make
in
sure- yeah,
these.
if they
Right,
clone
and
it,
See, it's white, creamy.
I think what they're trying to do
And they
is
still
force
feed the larvae and then they'll cap it.
Right.
Okay. So is
At
that
a certain age.
now? Is that drone cells right there in the
Where? I don't see any drone in
No,
this
okay,
one.
you're right.
Those are just workers.
workers?
All right, I've got to do something with this line. I got to think about it though.
What are your options?
One thing I'll try and do is consolidate and maybe get them down to one box. Okay? Force them all in one box so that the beetles are under control by the bees. And that was just in that spot.
Well, I lost my honey house last year. It burned actually about a year ago. So I'd actually learned about down the street right now because I do everything like this.
Now, how would you work your way to get it back down to one box? What would you do with the other frames of honey and brood on them?
I'll take the box off that I'm going to empty.
Okay.
You know, there's really no science to it.
You're trying to get that dead one out of here.
I'll shake them down into that box.
Yep.
I may have an empty, just an empty hive body. When I get it clean, that frame clean, I'll put it in that box and cover it up, and do that with all 10 of them. And then I'll go home and take those and shake all the darn beetles out. And if I can get that done and just wrap it up, I've got some of that shrink wrap stuff. Wrap it up tight, put it in the freezer for a week or so,
Yeah.
kill anything that might be in there,
Right.
and let that bottom box build back up. Then I'll bring it back and put it on top of it.
Okay. So basically, then if you got the 10 frames that you've done that, you've sacrificed what you had in there because you put it in the
what
freezer.
little bit of brood you saw
Right.
and all that, yeah,
That's just what was the Star Trek?
The
There.
needs of the many
outweigh the
needs
needs
of
of the few.
Okay.
So you'll try to get them back into the two boxes into one box.
Because it'd be a lot stronger.
and then freeze the whole thing just for a few days.
Yeah, I'll put the whole box in there. In
Wasn't-
fact, like a dummy, I bought one of those little chest freezers.
Yeah.
I bought it for beekeeping things.
Right.
And my wife's got fish and vegetables. I gotta rearrange everything every time I use it.
Do you ever use the fume pads to drive them down?
I do that that's how I get my honey. And I may try that, but it's never 100%. And if there's brood, they won't leave the brood. There's always going to be some bees left on
How
the
about your
brood.
screen? And
Do
what
you-
is it that you try? You do what to drive them down?
A fume,
Fume pad.
Oh,
And it basically it looks like this, except there's a piece of felt. You spray this stuff that bees don't like the smell of, and set it on top, and it'll
drive them down.
drive them down.
But they won't leave brood. you say.
No, they won't leave brood.
Now, do you harvest honey once or twice a year?
Twice usually.
Spring and then late summer?
Along about 4th of July,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
That's your first or second?
First.
That's your first? And the second would be October, August, September?
Yeah, that one depends on the weather.
Gotcha.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, you know that you got the beetles in there. What other treatment are you going to actually give them?
Well, there's really nothing that will kill the beetles that won't kill the bees. So
Okay,
you've gotta finesse it.
You're going to let the bees more or less.
I run tests.
If I can get them down to one box, I'll clean that oil tray out and make them run those beetles down into there.
Have you ever tried the trap without the cover on top?
Well,
Ours is like a straight pan. Everything is falling, can't lay on the top.
But see, he doesn't have the screen on the bottom, over it, right? Because the bees were walking on that. Ours has a screen.
There's a screen built in here. The bottom of the hive has got screen.
You don't have bees flying in from behind.
And then this. See, I've got a gap in this one. There's a wet. I think it's wet.
Our trap just has an oil tray and no board on the top.
But it's tight when you slide it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it needs to be, because the bees will find a way to get in it, and then it'll kill them as well. Okay?
Now, do you put any Bee Healthy or whatever in the water behind the house?
No, it's either strictly sugar or. This time of year, my honey's all crystallized, and we got this honey expo coming, so I've been heating it up. Long, slow process, but it still sticks to the jar.
Yeah.
So when I wash the jars, I'll put wash water around and then pour it off to the side and then keep doing that. And then I'll feed that back to them.
Okay. Cool.
I knew why they're wrong about that.
It didn't hurt. And it keeps the weeds down from right there. All right, another bee check before anybody goes. You'll get stung when you go taking your suit off and you think you're clear. I don't think.
I've always been
Too much for you?
Want to check behind that crease again? Nope.
I'm not making any guarantees.
Oh no, I wouldn't sue you.
Buddy, we appreciate that.
You're welcome.
You want to get in there and see?
Yeah.
Where's David?
So that thing, that's how you get your video?
Yeah, right there.
I was wondering how you did that.
Yeah.